In an era of intractable inflation, it's nice when something costs $0. 0 times 30% inflation is still zero. There are some models in DCS that are getting to be the price of a full game, which is a little ridiculous. So I was interested to see the progress that the JXT team had made on their first full release of their new Bell 429 helicopter. Starting off with the external appearance, I'm no expert on the 429, so I can't comment on the details, but certainly it's an attractive helicopter, and modeled with enough attention that it looks fine to the casual observer. Looking at the inside details comes with less praise, however. There's very little texture, and what little there is not notable. A lot of the knobs and dials are not clickable and apparently not implemented. I'm not a big fan of autopilot in helicopters because of my particular setup, but it does appear to give the user ability to input autopilot parameters, so that might work. I swung around to see if the rotor linkages were animated, and it occurred to me that it might be difficult to check. I'm guessing in real life they don't move without hydraulics, and you don't get hydraulics without the engine running. And it's hard to check the rotor linkages when the aircraft is in a flyable state. But as far as I can tell from this wild ride, the rotor head is not animated. As far as flight model, I have to say it handles very nicely. I remember flying a much earlier version of their model, and it needed a lot of work. Twitchy as hell, far too much for such a large craft. This one feels the heavy weight that it is, large but responsive. Of course, no one would or should fly this type of aircraft like this, but you want to know what it's capable of. I'm not a pilot and I've never flown one, but it feels nice to me. Controllable within its limits. Flying this in 2020 made it painfully obvious how nicely done New York City is compared to Flight Sim 24. Now, I wouldn't expect freeware to apply the same kind of diligence in the fringe conditions I find oh so important, so it's not fair to judge such a model by these parameters, but I did test them just to see what's covered. No suspension, of course. However, I found after some time getting familiar with the aircraft that pickup was predictable and well behaved. It comes up nose first because of that front-leaning rotor, so when picking up, predispose yourself to lifting the nose gently, then easing the whole aircraft into the air from there while pushing forward on the cyclic so you don't continue to rock the whole aircraft back on its tail. Auto rotation was included, and after wrecking nearly $500 million worth of aircraft, I finally was able to get the upper hand on reasonably landing it, simply by following the recommended guidelines of staying within 60 to 70 knots indicated airspeed. For VNE, velocity never exceed, we have a warning, but no substantial change to flight dynamics as far as I can tell. And that seems to be about it for fringe. No sign of vortex ring state from what I can tell. No effective translational lift shudder. I was unable to over-torque or over-temp the engine. This is either masterful design or a decision to ignore. Surprisingly, I was able to get it to lose control in heavy winds as a display of loss of tail rotor effectiveness. The tail authority is a bit light in this model, and keeping control in tailwinds is possible but easily lost. One kind of odd quirk is every so often the engines will start up and the RPM will go friggin' nuts! Just now it happened because I throttled down after a flight. It becomes completely unruly, and the only thing to do is reload the model. It's certainly far from perfect, but quite the workable model for the cost of zero. I think this model is a worthy addition to your fleet. It may not be bug-free, full-featured, or filled with special considerations, but to my sensibility, it flies well, and that's the primary thing. Good enough that I spent a couple days coding up a vibro file for it, so if you have a butt kicker in the SimHub app, feel free to download it from the link I posted in the description below. And on that note, may the feeling of that rotor wash over you.
Huh? Yeah, boy! Yeah, boy!